Hello, everybody. Welcome to the More Than 2 Minute Drill. This is Joe Duramo of My Pinnacle Network. This is the More Than 2 Minute Drill because we typically go over that while we're offering some networking advice and tips. But today we're going to continue giving out our Networking Ninja Awards. And I suppose this one is going out of order because this probably should go last. But we're giving away our Lifetime Achievement Award for the Networking Ninja. And this is going to Jim Clinton of Arleen Smith Marketing. So welcome, Jim, to the podcast.
Hey, Joe, thanks for having me.
And here's what the award looks like. You'll have it in your possession at some point. The little transfer machine I used to have on Zoom isn't working today, but we'll make sure you get your award. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you very much.
And just before we get going into your networking strategies and secrets, I just want to share if you could share with the viewers some of your background, like your company you work for, your role with that.
Sure. So again, my name is Jim Clinton. I work for Arleen Smith Marketing. We're based in Stoughton, Massachusetts. Arleen Smith Marketing has been around for nearly 30 years. And I've been the VP of sales there for the past 8 years, since 2012. So prior to that, I worked in Boston for a couple of financial firms, managing departments that produced print marketing. So if you think about it in a certain light, Joe, I've been having printer's ink on my sleeves for about 35 years now.
But interestingly enough, from our warm-up conversation there, you were 2012 was kind of the first time you were in a formal networking group. So I'm just wondering, what are some of your networking strategies? What are your go-to things, and what are the things when you go to a networking meeting or an event? What's top of mind for you?
So one of the things that I like to do is just take a risk and put myself out there to try to meet almost immediately people that I don't know. I've shared a story before about, going into a room and, if you network enough, you know a lot of friendly faces, but I make a conscious effort to not steer toward people that I know and feel comfortable with, but I steer myself toward people that I don't know, that I haven't met, and, come over and introduce myself and kind of inject myself into the conversation. It's a good strategy. It's worked for me a lot because I think a lot of people are very reluctant to be the person to reach out to someone they don't know. And since no one would describe me as bashful, the idea of, being brave enough to go and insert yourself into a conversation of, let's say, 3 people who are standing in a way where their posture suggests they're, welcome to adding someone to the group. And it's something that's always been in my background. I've always been kind of an outgoing person.
Do you have any one particular line that you use to enter a situation like that, or do you kind of gauge it by the crowd, or is there something that works more often than not?
I like to be kind of extemporaneous. So if I'm approaching you and 2 people and I'm sort of hearing the tail end of your conversation, I'm usually quick enough on my feet to offer some kind of comment or segue into the item that was being discussed before, in the pre-COVID days, before you would extend your hand
Right.
and or your business card.
Right. So, I mean, that, for a lot of people don't know how to join a conversation, and you just kind of hit the nail on the head. If you don't know what to say, just repeat what was saying in the conversation you walked in on, because obviously that's top of mind for them.
Right.
You mentioned pre-COVID, and curious to see, as an active networker in your role with your company, what have you done during COVID to adjust?
Well, one plan I've made in particular is every week I set a goal of contacting 5 people who I have networked with before, but these 5 people would be people that aren't in my regular circle at the moment for whatever reason. And if you think about it from a sales perspective, sometimes reaching out to someone that you haven't spoken to in a while kind of feels like a cold call. But the bad thing, COVID is not a good thing, obviously, but in terms of networking, it's created two opportunities. One, uh, when you try to call someone, they're usually there because no one can go anywhere. And secondly, if you've networked with them before, they kind of feel it's a welcome conversation. It's not awkward. It's more like a care call, let's say, than a cold call. So if you haven't networked with that person in a while, it's very easy to ask them, how is your business doing? Did you have to close? Have you been open the whole time? What kind of challenges are you having? And share a little bit about the challenges that you're having. It really helps to open up the back end of your network, people that you connected with when you were in close proximity or traveling along the same highway, if you will.
Mhm.
And sometimes, your focus goes here and there depending on the opportunities. It's always a great thing to reconnect with some of the people you've networked with before, because my experience has been they're really happy for that connection. And it always makes me feel good to hear that, people are doing okay in these tough times.
Does it start as a phone call, or is it an email outreach, or how does your outreach to those 5 people every week, how does that start?
I've done it both ways, Joe, but I am preferring right now the phone call because I think, again, going back to the COVID and that we're all feeling kind of isolated, there's sometimes a warm and engaging voice on the other end of the phone. It somehow feels more comforting than, I've had some email exchanges that have gone back 3 or 4 times, lots of information, lots of warmth, but a friendly voice sometimes right now, a lot of people might be, working from home, and they might be alone and not have colleagues around them as they did in the pre-COVID days. So sometimes, a warm and comforting voice is the best way to go.
So let's flash forward to, we have a vaccine and COVID's a distant memory. Is this a strategy you're going to keep in your arsenal, or is it something you're going to go back to being on the road and face to face?
I'd love to get back on the road and see customers and see prospects in person. To me, I take a lot of information from an in-person meeting. It's not just the words that I'm hearing, but there's a lot of nonverbal cues, whether a person is nodding their head, whether they're checking their watch. So those kind of things is really tough to pick up in a Zoom call when you're
Sure.
pretty much from the shoulders up. But I will stay with some of the networking strategies that I've pursued here during COVID until they're not effective. I guess if things get really back to a pre-COVID type of place where people are super busy, then it might be tough to get people on the phone. But until that happens, I really enjoy having a voice-to-voice conversation, and it seems like the people I'm connecting with enjoy that as well.
Right. Well, it's been my habit in these awards podcasts to ask the person getting the award, how are you going to defend your Networking Ninja Award? But unless you plan on having a second life here, I don't think we can give you a second lifetime award. So I'm just going to congratulate you once again for being recognized for the Lifetime Achievement Award, and thank you for appearing on the podcast and some really good insights in terms of how to go about networking, both in general and during these troubled times, as they say.
Well, thanks, and thanks for the Lifetime Achievement Award. It means a lot to me, and it makes me think back to the great Ted Williams, who was asked by reporters, what was it like to hit 400 over the course of a season, and Ted said, I didn't really set out to hit 400 for a season. I set out to show up at the park every day and do my best. And then, cumulatively over time, that record turned out to be, a record that might never be broken again in baseball. And I think networking is the same way. So if you're reluctant to start a networking program because you think it's too daunting in the long view, my advice is, like Ted Williams, just think about it one game at a time and one day at a time. And I think when you look back, the results will be there if you're really applying yourself.
Well, that's how we take it here, one podcast at a time. And again, thank you and congratulations on the award. This has been Joe DeRamo for the More Than 2 Minute Drill for My Pinnacle Network. We'll be back soon with another networking pointer and Networking Ninja Award winner. So thanks for tuning in. And Jim, thanks again.
Thanks again for having me.
Okay.